This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
Russian oil output is set to fall 1.4 million barrels per day, BPD, next year after a European Union ban on seaborne exports of Russian crude comes into effect, the International Energy Agency said on Tuesday. The move to deprive Moscow of revenue will create more uncertainty for oil markets and add to pressure on prices, including diesel, the Paris-based energy agency said in its monthly oil report. The approaching EU embargoes on Russian crude and oil product imports and a ban on maritime services will add further pressure on global oil balances, and, in particular, on already exceptionally tight diesel markets, the IEA said.
China's crude oil throughput rose 0.8% in October from a year earlier for a second straight month in year-on-year growth, data showed on Tuesday, as refiners ramped up processing to export more refined fuel and a greenfield refinery began test runs. October refinery output stood at 58.62 million tons, according to the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, equivalent to 13.8 million barrels per day, BPD, just below 13.82 million barrels of oil per day in September. Throughput in the first 10 months of 2022 was 555.88 million tons, equal to about 13.35 million barrels of oil per day, a level that remained 4.5% below the level a year ago owing to 8 months of year-on-year production drops between January and August.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
Rich nations have stuck to pledges to phase out coal power despite the energy crunch in the wake of the Ukraine war, but China's expanding coal fleet risks counteracting the climate impact of the closures, a report said on Tuesday. Countries within the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, Policy Forum and the European Union are on track to close more than 75% of their coal power capacity from 2010 to 2030, the Powering Past Coal Alliance, PPCA, said. Greenhouse gas emissions from burning coal are the single biggest contributor to climate change. Weaning the world off coal is considered vital to achieving global climate targets, but coal is also the single biggest fuel to make electricity.
The European Union plans to update its emissions cutting target under the Paris Climate Accord, the EU climate policy chief told the COP27 summit on Tuesday, with the upgrade expected before next year's United Nations summit. The announcement by the world's third biggest polluter, after China and the United States, attempts to convince others that the 27-country EU is sticking to its commitments to fight climate change, even as it battles an energy crisis. The EU stands ready to update our NDC, EU climate chief Frans Timmermans told the COP27 summit in Egypt, referring to the bloc's nationally determined contribution, or target to reduce emissions in line with the 2015 Paris Agreement to curb global warming. Next, we have the top news in metal markets. China's October steel output fell 8.3% from the previous month, official data showed on Tuesday, as ongoing COVID curbs and a deepening crisis in the country's property sector hit demand, leading some mills to start maintenance outages early. The world's top steelmaking country produced 79.76 million tons of the metal last month, according to data from the National Bureau of Statistics, down from 86.95 million tons in September. Production was, however, up 11% compared with the same month a year ago, when power rationing and strict curbs on output levels drove daily steel production to a multi-year low.
Copper's rally paused on Tuesday as rising COVID-19 cases and weak factory activity in China held prices below Monday's 5-month high. The copper price surged more than 10% in the first 2 weeks of November as expectations for an easing of Chinese COVID controls and slower U.S. interest rate rises fueled hopes that economic growth and metals demand would improve. But while U.S. producer price data added to evidence that inflation may be subsiding, reducing the need for interest rate rises, China, the biggest metals consumer, is not out of the woods yet.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural
European Union soft wheat exports so far in the 2022-23 season have reached 13.35 million tons, now nearly 10% ahead of last year's pace following a large volume last week, data published by the European Commission showed on Tuesday. The total from the start of the season on July 1st until November 13th was 9.5% above the 12.19 million shipped by the same week in 2021-22. It also marked a bigger than usual 830,000 ton weekly increase compared with the running total reported in the Commission's previous report. That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.